Hi everyone, this is Dr. Essie Stacey, helping you to be well. Hi everyone, welcome to patient journey number 3, and really exciting to show you how Tim has got on. Let's have a look what we're going to be looking at. We're going to be watching him and see how he's managed to Shoikuji his meat. We're looking at how he's getting on with the glucose and the ketone and the changes to that. We're looking at his cholesterol, the HDL. We're looking at the triglyceride readings and seeing whether he's made any impact on those. We're also looking at breathing and how it is fascinating to see how, the breathing's made an impact on his diet, potentially. And then we're looking at further goals for the future, all in this program, if you like. So anyway, let's without much ado, let's have a look at the first clip. Okay, Tim.
Okay.
Tell me how your week has been.
Okay, so the week has been fascinating, and I think on the plus side, I've eaten quite a bit of Shoikuji meat, and which has been very straightforward to do, so that's been good. However, I have had a pizza heavy week.
Why was that? What happened?
Well, I blame it on the dine out to help out.
Right, yes.
So we started on the Monday. We went out.
Dine out to pig out.
Yeah, dine out to pig out. So we went out to Fata Mano's, and I think you'll see in the vlog that I've just never been so stuffed in all my life. That was a lot of carbs. But I also had a side of kind of like a mini mozzarella kind of pizza as well. And
this is when you went out.
Yeah. I was literally, I was
eyes
like,
bigger than stomach.
I was bursting, and then my friend said, "Oh, let's get some chips as well, so this pizza won't fill me up." And I was like, "You're joking," And fortunately, I my self-righteous moment, I didn't touch the chips, so that was good. And they had dessert, and I didn't have dessert, and I just came back and just had some kefir. But it really, I say this now, it really put me off. I felt so satiated with carbs. I just thought it's just not good.
Push you over the edge. Isn't that interesting?
And that happened because, again, even before we went out to dine out, I had bought some pizzas on kind of reduced, even though they were like, I think Sainsbury's or Finest or whatever it is. And then, so I think on the Wednesday, I had just a mini pizza, which again, I think you'll see that I have some mushrooms and I put some Shoikuji bacon on it just to make it a little bit like, healthy, which is better. But then on the Friday, I knew I had bought this kind of a large pizza.
So it's sort of this pizza theme. We've got pizza theme this week.
Going on, and I knew I had to eat it, etc. But do you know what? I only got through half of it, and I just thought, nah, enough, and I chucked the rest. Which I never do.
Wow. Wow, that's a big. It's
a big learning curve, yeah. Isn't it? And I just thought, I'm so done with pizzas. And also I think because earlier in the week I had those 3 Shoikuji pieces of chicken, which I think you'd given me. And I'd done it, and it was just so lovely. It was just just pure protein, and it wasn't. I'm just not overly like stuffed, which you know, let's face it, just pizza does do that to you. So, and then I think later on, you know, I had bought some beef which I've Shoikuji'd as well. So, you know, I'm kind of going down the Shoikuji'ing route, but I just thought I can't. Like again, I kind of like it. Kind of something switched to me. Like again, this week, I cannot go down the route of having my ready meal chicken tandoori or whatever it, you know, chicken korma, which I'm just like, no. I feel it's
something's shifted, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has shifted. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, you just think I'm pumping, dare I say, you know, crap into.
And you look different.
Do you think?
You look different, yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you feel different? Do you feel? I mean, have you lost weight? Are you?
Well, I know I went for 2 5K runs.
Wow.
I know we had spoken about this earlier, but because I haven't, you know, gone to the gym, I just kind of feel I need to keep this up. And I know I have, I am losing weight. I think slowly, but I am losing weight. And it's just, and every single day, I haven't eaten past, I think 5:30 or 6, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've been really, you know, kind of, you know, smug about that, dare I say.
So good though, isn't it?
However, the caveat will be when school starts. So then,
which is when?
Well, we go back this week for staff days, and even staff days are enough to kind of like tip you over the edge, let's face it. So you know, watch this space, because I might be talking a different or painting a different picture. Because I still have, you know, cards on the table. I still have a stash.
You've still got your walnut whips.
I've still got my walnut whips. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see what happens. You know, to the walnut whips, will you ever be able to just chuck them in the bin? Or?
No, that will never happen. No. I know my flatmate done, so she's eyeing them as well. So if she accidentally eats them, that's probably quite a good thing.
Yes, fabulous. So it sounds like a really good week. Sounds like a pivotal week. So, because one of your main goal was to get in charge of your eating, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think, you know, just, you know, now I talk about, you know, I just want to get into the kitchen and then get out as quickly as possible. And part of it is just whacking in, you know, a microwave meal, or this week was just flinging in a pizza for 10 minutes. But, you know, it's just, I don't know, it's like my taste buds are like, oh, crumbs, no.
Yeah, because of the Shoikuji stuff.
Yeah, actually, there's an element of that, just having meat, which is Shoikuji, you know,
because it brings out the flavour, but it's so enhanced. Obviously, you can't see that on, you know, on the video, but Shoikuji brings out flavour. So I was talking to you about having nutrient-dense food if you're only going to eat once a day. And Shoikuji, not only does it bring out the flavour, but it also gives you more nutrients. And if part of us overeating is because actually our body's telling us we're deficient in something, and then with the Shoikuji meals, you are providing for that deficiency over time, then you're going to do what's happening very quickly to you, is to say, actually, I don't need the pizza, I don't need the and you're seeing the difference in your body between the ready meal and the stuff that you prepare yourself. Yeah.
I mean, now I've started making lists when I go shopping of what I actually do need to buy, and just kind of quickly walking past.
That's so good. I can't believe it.
So
because we haven't talked about that. We haven't, and yet you have this mindset
I mean, I think
change.
You know, the whole thing which you brought up about I need more fish oils, whatever. So my target is to get kind of tinned sardines, you know.
Let's have a look. In fact, so that brings us to the blood test, which we're going to do right now. So let's do that. Great. So, you know, he's doing well, isn't he? He's doing really well. He has introduced himself to this Shoikujiing. So what is Shoikuji? Let me just type that up so that you can see what the spelling is. Shoikuji, that's Shoikuji there. that is a Japanese rice ferment. And if you want to know some more about it, there's plenty on my website where I talk about fermented proteins and fermented vegetables. There's webinars.Essie's Kitchen where you can see me using Shoikuji. You can see me talking about the benefits of it for our health, the way it breaks down toxins and things like that. So do check those out. But he's doing really well. The ready meals are taking a back seat. He looks different. He's managing on this effectively intermittent fasting. He's eating one meal a day with his fruit. And if you want to know more about that as well, about the intermittent fasting, then do again look on my website on the sugars module. I talk about fasting on the sugars module and the importance of that. But he's doing well, isn't he? Let's carry on with the next clip. So, as far as the glucose is concerned, that was 5.7, and the ketone was 0.4. Now that again is going to relate to what you ate yesterday. So can you remember what you had yesterday?
What do you mean?
Your meal.
In my meal yesterday. Oh, I know what I had. Yeah. Got there. I had bought a chicken, which was salt and pepper, kind of basted or whatever. I don't know what it's called, but so I had to cook it for about an hour, and then I just had an avocado with it, and
so what was it? A fresh chicken?
No, it wasn't. Do you know what I mean? It was
a ready meal.
Kind of, yeah. Kind of. I had to, yeah. It was in a tin, kind of,
Okay, so the thing,
Tesco finest.
So, so with these levels, so you'll remember that I said with the glucose, really you want to be, and what time did you eat?
It was actually quite late. It was 6.
6, and did you have any wine?
I had some, absolutely. No, I had a huge glass of wine.
At what time?
Oh, quite late, actually. I started about 9.
And what was it?
It was red.
Okay, so it wasn't sweet. It felt fairly fruity, to be honest. Right. So, I mean, in general, the red wine has less sugar than the white and the rosé. But that's not to say, if it was sweet-ish, I mean, I'm not a winemaker, but, it may be playing into this. But what sometimes can happen is the protein that you're having, if you're very sensitive metabolically, your body, it will convert the protein into sugars. And so there's several aspects to that. And one is having fruit earlier in the day.
Yeah.
So the banana.
Yeah.
The sugar in the banana.
Yeah.
The other is the amount of protein that you have. So if you're metabolically sensitive, your body will convert that protein into sugar.
Okay.
And this is, when we look at all of the results in their entirety, this is what it's saying to me, really, because your glucose, I would have expected that to be further down.
Yeah, okay.
Low 5s, high 4s, that's where we're aiming for. And if you didn't eat 6 o'clock through till this morning, it's over 12 hours. We are, 10 o'clock or something now. We've got 16 hours and your ketone is 0.4. I would expect that to be higher.
Okay.
So it's saying to me that there are sugars and maybe that your body there's too much sugar and your body's metabolically sensitive if you're not eating many carbs, but you are eating protein. So that tells its own little bit of a story. And then if we look at the cholesterol readings, as I said, I'm not that interested in the total cholesterol, which this time around was 6.08, which compares to 5.46 before. But the HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, is now 0.91, and that's gone up a touch compared to last time, which was 0.72, not significantly. So I think what we need to add in there is that fish oil.
Yeah, okay.
The problem with having fish throughout, having too much fish in your diet is that fish is contaminated with toxins.
Oh, okay.
And if you want to know more, anyone's listening in, want to know more about that, then I've got a module on toxins in our food on my website. And one of the reasons we take fish oil supplements is because you can't just go and eat more fish because of the toxins, mercury, plastics, all the stuff like that, which are going to just gum up your liver and, your brain and all the rest of it. So, but as I said before, the HDL responds to, do you remember what I said? The HDL responds
It was exercise.
Exercise and fish oils.
Fish oils, yeah.
And also good eggs. Good eggs will put that up as well.
Okay.
So good eggs is happy eggs. Happy eggs is from happy hens who've been picking worms and outside and all stuff like that. Great. So, it's it's really interesting. I use those finger prick blood tests a lot, and that's because they don't lie. The blood tests are better than the urine tests, particularly for the ketones. But the glucose, as I said, ideally you want it to be on the low 5s or high 4s. After a fast that long, then your glucose should be stable around that high 4s, low 5s. And if you're consistently sort of in the mid 5, 6s, then you're getting into that pre-diabetic phase. And it's really easy to what you're going to see over the weeks and months is us tweaking what Tim's eating to bring those figures in line. And it's best to do it slowly rather than these dramatic changes, because it's actually about, as I said, it's not about the 6 weeks to the 6-pack. It's about integrating these changes slowly into your life with the psychological changes as well. And so the HDL, again, we want that to be in the 2s or 3s even. And if you want to know more about the fats, I do go through it on the module on my website. So do go and look into that in more detail. The glucose, let's have a look. Let me put some lists up there. So that's coming from the carbs. In his diet, it's coming from fruit. I mentioned that. It's coming, carbs includes the cereals, right? Cereals, grains, any carb, apart from the fermented vegetables. It's coming from alcohol. Yeah, that's, and as I mentioned, in some people, it's coming from protein as well. So that mechanism, if you're I believe it's insulin sensitivity. I haven't looked at it in great detail, but I do see it enough that people on low carb, but if the protein is above a certain amount for their weight, then the body seems to love that and then convert that into sugars. So when we're looking at that glucose figure, I take all of these things into consideration. Anyway, so let's I'll take those off now. There's the last one there. Let's move on and see how we get on and then in the next clip. So the triglyceride is really kind of the same as before. 1.33, last time it was 1.34. Do you remember what?
I don't, not the triglycerides, sorry.
So the triglycerides is to do with your sugars. It's a fat, but it's to do with your sugar intake. And again, my fats module on the website goes through all of this. So if you have been given your cholesterol readings by your GP, your general practitioner, primary care physician, and you don't really know what they mean, then have a look on my website under the fats module, because it's talking about fats, but it's actually to do with the sugars intake. So this is telling me that your sugars, and it's usually fruit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, to be fair, it's not been 50-50. Like one day I've had banana, and then the next day I've had some, figs and cabbage for lunch. So,
Yeah.
I've mixed it up.
So it'd be worth seeing once you've finished all your bananas, whether that comes down. We check it again in a couple of weeks and see whether that comes down. But it's also to do with the carbs. Like if you had a pizza week, that's gonna...
Yeah, it's gonna reflect.
That's the sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's basically, it doesn't lie. It's actually quite a useful indicator.
Yeah.
It's also telling me, it's an indirect way of telling me how much inflammation is in your system. I see these figures coming above 1 in people with inflammation, which means that you're going to have more pain if you get injured and all stuff like that. So as these figures begin to correct, you're going to see that reflected also in your well-being and what have you.
Great. So triglyceride is an interesting one, isn't it? Because if you have your results from your GP, then often, let me write it in there, triglycerides. If you have your cholesterol results from your GP, the triglycerides won't be mentioned. It's just going to look at your HDL, your LDL, your total cholesterol. Whereas the triglycerides is this side. Where am I? I don't know. The triglycerides is essential to understand what's going on in your body. So it's a fat. However, it's telling me about the sugar intake. And if in hospital world or medical world, they're not going to be interested in it unless it's over 2. In UK terms, European terms, I'm not sure what the figures are, American terms. But there's a lot more. It's telling a story even way before it gets to those levels. And it's telling me what's happening with your sugars, your carbs. And it's also an indirect marker of inflammation. So there are different ways of looking at inflammation. They all tell a slightly different story, and triglycerides is one of them. And it tells me about the carbs. So that was really interesting to see that it hadn't really changed a lot, and that, we needed to still get on top of that. Good. Let's have a look at the next clip.
So I watched the breathing thing by Barbara.
Yeah.
And again, it was like, it was fascinating, that the fact way that she could hold her breath for 5 minutes.
Yeah, wow.
And it was just, again, so it's, after I watched it, I was sitting in my chair, like breathing, and I kind of, I felt really tired. I fell asleep.
Isn't that amazing? Because I had that exact same thing. And what it said to me is that I've been breathing incorrectly all my life.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. And now every time I go to the park, and I walk back, I'm practicing my breathing, kind of walking, and just trying to, obviously breathe from your diaphragm. And I don't think I'm not as good. I know she's a natural runner, and she says, you need to breathe through the mouth. And I was running yesterday.
Breathe through your nose.
Oh, sorry, breathe through your nose, sorry, yeah. And I was like, I just can't do that. I just can't, I had no way I'd survive. I'd be like collapsing, but maybe I might try it for 30 seconds.
Yeah, try it at the beginning, because that's the whole point, is that you try it until the body's out of puff, and then you go to mouth breathing.
Yeah. But I mean, twice, which the last kind of couple of months, I haven't really had any afternoon naps, which I kind of take it as a good sign, because normally during term time I'm just like, let me have my my power nap when I get back from school. But the holidays I haven't, so it was rare for me all of a sudden to start practicing my breathing, all of a sudden go, oh, I'm tired, I need to go, and it wasn't a huge nap, it was only like a 20-minute type thing, but it was actually, you obviously kind of think, oh, I must have needed it, really.
Yeah, but you're a singer.
Well, absolutely.
So
yeah.
how is that, with your breathing that you would do for singing, how is that different from what she has been saying to you?
Well, it's so, I've had problems with my breath and my singing, because if your breath is not kind of perfect, from the diaphragm, from the bottom, you clash your vocal cords and you can't sustain it. So if the breath isn't bang on, you'll be wrecking your voice slowly.
Wow.
Through time. So it's really so important to get your breath right, and that's what I've been trying to work on for the last 2 months, or kind of during lockdown, and just, if nothing else, get my breath right. And and there are days I hit and miss it, and when I do get it right, my voice lowers, and it's just more centered, and it's singing becomes easier once you get your breath right. Otherwise I'm kind of valiantly kind of trying to forge my way forward when that breath is not kind of flowing from the diaphragm. Yeah, so it's a real.
And is that, and has Barbara's work, how has that changed? How's that feeding into this new?
Well, it's exactly what she said, in the sense of thinking that the breath, goes up and down, the spine, and that's a great way of picturing it. Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
And it's
How are you envisaging? Are you envisioning when she says to breathe in? What are you
Well,
saying?
I'm trying to just literally go right down to my diaphragm and my stomach coming out, and pushing the breath up.
See, that's counterintuitive, isn't it? I mean, I was an athlete and I did dance as well, and you're taught to keep your tummy in.
This is it, yeah.
Which means that you're stifling your breath then.
Yeah. And, I'm still getting, alerts on my watch telling me to breathe. And you become a lot more hypersensitive now. Just my general breath, is still quite shallow. That's why as soon as I go out, I'll do some excited walk up to the park. I'm like, okay, this is my moment of just kind of picturing.
And so you had Siggy saying to you about your breathing, didn't you? Yeah. And you had Siggy and you've had Barbara basically speaking into your life, and then suddenly you had this breakthrough as well this week about actually this pizza isn't doing it for me.
No, absolutely no. It's just it's wrong. So
that was really interesting, wasn't it? Because I'm convinced that you're not going to get anywhere with your behavioural changes in terms of eating unless you deal with the breath and with the subconscious. So do have a look at, let me just put that on there, breath. Do have a look at Barbara Pigeon's webinar. It's fascinating. And she talks about how breath work, breathing basically transformed her life. And you've got a small introduction to that with Tim. Siggy had said to him about his breathing. Then he'd watched that webinar, he started to change his breathing, and it's as if that caused a shift in his thinking. He's like, well, I'm done with pizzas. I'm sure it's not the final time, he's going to have a pizza or go down that line. But there certainly does seem to be a major shift in what his desires are food-wise. And Barbara talks about this, that
that she'd had some pretty traumatic childhood. And you'd think, oh, she needs lots of therapy, but through breath work, she's managed to reset herself. And so I'm convinced that when I see my patients with chronic conditions, that I know the good ways of eating. I know how to get rid of toxins in your environment, but that subconscious part, which is about the heart. We've got Dr. Stephen talking about the heart. We've got Barbara talking about breath. I've got Siggy dealing with people's sort of body water, if you like, in their subcutaneous tissues, the memory that is in there. You can't just do the diet and change your environment, your outside environment. You have to change your internal environment. And this idea of the breath is one of those key points. So good. So nearly there. Last clip. Let's see about planning ahead, etc.
I think, going into the kitchen, it's a quick fix, isn't it, really, of wherever you're at, whatever you're reaching for. And then it's just having a different mindset of realizing, this is for the long haul, and I realize now that I've just got to be a bit more prepared, and Shoikuji stuff, and fine, I've got to switch the oven on like half an hour before I actually need to eat. But for me, that was like, oh my word, that's an effort.
You couldn't do that before, whereas you're doing it.
Yeah, it's just been, supremely organised, more organised, I should say. I like to think I'm fairly organised, but it's just a step up, isn't it, really?
Yeah, that's, and I think it'd be encouraging for people that think, well, I don't cook, to see that actually the effort, yes, it's half an hour maybe of thinking ahead, or the night before. You've basically consistently Shoikuji'd your bacon.
Yeah, that's always,
and you did the chicken before. So what I would say, to change it up, to increase the nutrient density, I would perhaps Shoikuji the mushrooms, because you have mushrooms quite a lot. So you could, at the same time that you're Shoikujiing the chicken, also put a squirt of Shoikuji on your mushrooms. That and some olive oil, cover it and leave it. And if anyone wants to know how to do all of this, again, I've got on my website fermented vegetables on one of the webinars, so you can have a look in depth about how to do that. But if you're doing your chicken and you're managing to do that, you're doing your bacon, perhaps just do your vegetables as well. You've got tomatoes on there, squirt of Shoikuji on the tomatoes, squirt on just the night before, and then the next day you're good.
You're so
Okay. So well done. So the goals then for this week, what would you say?
So I think obviously it's just being more just the meals have to be Shoikuji every single day. I think if nothing else, that has got to happen. And I know I still got some bananas downstairs. I'm not, it's like...
To be fair, I think the triglyceride there, I've forgotten about the pizza. So the triglyceride could have been just pizza all week.
Yeah, and also, I've still got some Tesco Finest yogurts, which are literally this is the last batch I'm ever
exactly.
Buy,
we're just we're getting there slowly. This is not 6 weeks to a 6-pack. This is about life and integrating changes into your life, and so which you're doing.
And it's I just think you want to open the fridge, and I'm just used to opening the fridge and just seeing my cheesecake, my lemon, my kind of comfort moment, and just realizing you can still eat well, but it is fascinating, because as soon as you have, even if when I finish a meal, you're still triggered. Well, I'm still triggered up to a point, and it's realizing, it's like telling yourself, walk away. And actually, I calm down. I calm down, and then I've kind of taken to having my coffee, my evening coffee, like an hour after my meal, not only to tie me over a bit more, but realizing, you know, it's doable, because normally I would have my coffee and then I'd go on to the chocolate or whatever, you know, seamlessly. But realizing, you know, no, it's okay. You know, I can actually wait till 7 o'clock to have my coffee.
Well done. I'm impressed.
Yeah. I mean, it's as you say, it's just a bit of preparation and just, you know, being organised. Yeah.
Excellent. So let's leave it there.
Well done, Tim. Well done to him. So the lessons really, I guess this time around, has been about planning, a little bit of planning. And, you know, I deal with a lot of people who find that they don't cook. They don't cook, they don't want to cook. But when they see, like Tim, that the difference it makes on their health, then they can make those few little bits of changes. And he's talking about just planning. He's giving himself a half an hour before he eats, and doing the Shoikuji the night before. And you'll see how in the next show, you'll see how he gets on with that. And I just give him a helping hand. Myself and Hannah make an appearance in the next one, a helping hand in his prep. So do tune in for that. So hope you've enjoyed patient journey number 3, and do join me again. Watch out for patient journey number 4 coming up. Okay, everyone, be well. That's it for now, everyone. Remember, change starts with you. Be well.